All right, guys. So now we kind of understand the basic fundamentals of what a flash loan is. I hope you read some of the articles below that are explaining in depth what happened in the BZX hack. If you get a good understanding of that concept, you would also understand the general flash loan concept. Before we start the basic flash loan programming, let's look a little bit more into what flash loans actually are from a computer science perspective. Now, flash loans are loans that are atomically repaid. Atomicity is a computer science concept, and it means something happens all at once or not at all. The chain of transaction is atomic. If the transaction is not paid back, then the transaction never happened. Flash loans literally have no risk and no opportunity cost. This is because the borrower basically freezes time for the duration of their flash loan. And that's, to me, it's a really interesting concept because time and space is a concept we as humans experience in a certain way. And if you look into blockchain or other different angles of it, you can see that time actually happens in different sequences. Time in a blockchain, in the Ethereum blockchain, is every 10 seconds. Basically, that will be the source of truth. So every 10 seconds, there will be a new source of truth. In Bitcoin, that's every 10 minutes. And there's other chains that have shorter or longer block times. And let's look more into what actually atomicity means. I have linked a video in the description below about atomicity, and it explains this very nicely with a very nice and simple concept, and a nice simple concept with Instagram likes. So actually, Instagram likes are also a atomicity computer science concept. If you like a photo, you cannot like the photo 2 times. That would break the system. So that's basically what atomicity means, right? And this is really nicely explained in this video. And also be sure to subscribe to Hossein Nassadi. His YouTube channel is really amazing. It gave me a lot of different knowledge, and I'm already following for years. He's a very nice YouTuber as well, similar to Mr. Ivan. All right, so here we actually see another very easy example of what atomicity is. We have a variable. We have 2 variables, 1, 2, 1, 2. And variable tab number 1 is set plus 1, and tab number 2 set plus 2. So the final outcome should be 2. Here, update tab set variable plus 1, and update tab set variable plus 2, and then commit, right? So what happens then here? Plus 1 means that it should be 2 and 3, and tab 2 should be 3 and 4. If it is not that case, then it fails or it succeeds. That's the only outcome. It either fails or it succeeds. What is also good and interesting to understand, because now you could say, okay, I understand atomicity. So the flash loan starts, and it's at the end of that flash loan, at the end of the block time, the loan is either repaid or not repaid. If it's not repaid, it never happened. If it's repaid, then it's a success. In between, we have a concept called linearizability. Also, in the description below, an in-depth Ethereum research article about how Ethereum is actually linearizable. Linearizable is a difficult word to pronounce. This means that when the transaction starts, there is a sequence of events that always need to happen in a certain sequence of events. You cannot have like one event happen and then another event that's not connected. So it needs to always go in a flow that makes sense. And that's how also in a flash loan, the hacker, as we saw in BZX, was able to do all these different operations within those 10 seconds. After those 10 seconds, when the transaction was successful, all those transactions were actually executed by all the different nodes in the Ethereum network. Yeah, all right. So let's look at this illustration here. It's actually an illustration, if you also go to Etherscan or to the GitHub that I link below, of the first time that the researcher came up with this flash loan concept. You can see here they really used it first as a more of like an arbitrage contract. So they said, okay, there's a decentralized exchange. We can do a flash loan, so we borrow an amount of money, and then we balance out the market. So in this way, the overall decentralized exchange market for Ethereum and other crypto assets gets more stable and more efficient. And that was their thesis at the time. And they tried to implement it. They were successful. They made a successful implementation, but not really much people picked up on the concept. So let this also be a lesson. Some of the articles and some of the links that I shared with you guys, there's a lot of unexplored concepts that can still be implemented. And I believe that same as flash loans just surfaced and became like a big hype in the community, a lot of different concepts are still out there that are still unexplored and need to be picked up by a researcher or computer scientist, or by yourself as a amateur researcher or as a professional researcher. You can pick it up, you can read these topics, you can write articles about it, you can experiment with it and see if you can operate concepts like flash loans. So what happened to the company that actually did this? The company that first came up with the flash loan was the Marble protocol, and the researcher that came up with it was Max Wolf. Max Wolf came up with the first flash loan concept. After they constructed this flash loan concept, where they actually constructed a whole protocol around, they were not really successful. This is the typical example of a company in the ICO craze that didn't really do a token model well. They actually were on the right track, but they unfortunately didn't made probably some mistakes in execution or marketing. And there are many concepts that are out there like that you can look at, copy what they did, and actually implement it correctly and gain a lot of value out of it. After they introduced Marble, they also introduced a price oracle called Polaris. And after that, they started a universal basic income on the blockchain for humanity concept, which in my way is a little bit, I call that building a air castle. So it's a little bit too wishful thinking. But it's interesting to see. They constructed flash loans. They maybe made a lot of money with arbitrage before anybody in the market actually knew how to do flash loans. They created their own price oracles, and then they were thinking about spreading out the wealth for universal basic income. Yeah, that's a joke, but maybe that happened. Probably not. So more in flash loans, you can see that there is this is built during the latest Ethereum money hackathon, where a group of people created this concept called Flash Mint, but there is actually multiple of these concepts. And they built this nice click, drag and drop interface where you can say execute flash loan, do arbitrage swap, do arbitrage swap back, and end. Well, that's nice, but we are going to teach you later how to do this actually in Solidity. It's not that hard as you might think. Also, of course, in our previous section when we did yield hacking, we used Fulcrum in our concept, and of course they also use flash loans, and you can have like a chain of events where you embed flash loans and different crypto primitives. So there's a lot of innovation happening. It's not only for hackers, it's not only for thieves, but it's actually for you as a developer or as a user to get deeper into the concept and provide more liquidity to the market and experiment and see if you can generate some extra income for yourself. And also an interesting concept, which I also link below, is DeFi Saver, where you can do this collateral swap. So when you have your ETH and you want to swap it to BAT, they are actually on the back end using flash loans. For the front end, for the user that looks at it, he doesn't even have to know what a flash loan is. So that's what you want to have, right? There is a use case for flash loans where the user doesn't necessarily understand what's going on technically, but he just sees like, oh, I can swap my Ether CDP for a BAT CDP for a very low amount of slippage and a very low amount of transactions or time. So flash loans do not create new threats. They only expand the number of people that are capable of harmful actions, right? So that's also what I believe. It's not that flash loans make you this evil hacker. No, they just expand the number of people to do harmful action, but also to do actions to provide more liquidity and more innovation to the market, like what DeFi Saver did when the flash loans were more getting more popular. They actually implemented in their protocol, and I suspect more protocols to adopt flash loans in the future. Yeah, and again, what doesn't kill you kills you, makes you stronger. And flash loans are not the problem. Using illiquid DEXs or inappropriate oracles is the problem. So as a developer, you need to understand that when you build your DeFi protocol, that you use all these primitives well. You cannot just build a DeFi protocol and think, oh, let's just safeguard millions of people's money and then don't expect to look at all attack factors. So flashing is just another attack factor you need to be aware of when you're building your DeFi protocols. But at the end of the day, DeFi is an anti-fragile system. So these attacks and these angles only make us stronger at the end of the day. All right, guys. So I want you to talk with me about flash loans in the forum, and let me know if there's any questions. In the next slides, we're actually going to perform a flash loan by ourselves. I see you in the next one, and good luck with hacking flash loans.